Hey there, guys. We're speaking with Ariel Mitchell and Edison Hong. You guys want to wave so she knows which is which. Um, these two wonderful artists have been part of our New Voices project this year, which means to us that we have gone through one round of presenting their stuff with our repertory company and giving them some feedback, and they have just now submitted a revision based on that feedback, and we're about to relook at that new material. So the audience for this video, aside from the vast millions who are now Edison Hong fans, includes new writers of musicals as well as established writers of musicals. So I'd love, in our time together, if you guys would speak to a couple things. One, your vision of what you're working on, your piece. What are you trying to say with your piece, and why musical theater and so on. But before we get there, how did you guys meet? Did you would you talk about that? Edison, where'd you guys meet?
So we actually went to New York University's graduate musical theater writing program together. And so we were in the same year, and that's how we met each other, yeah.
And so how much did you guys do together at Tisch?
Well, we wrote one first chorus song, and I'm trying to remember if we got assigned again after that.
We collaborated in like a threesome. You wrote book, I wrote lyrics. And
that was like very experimental. I'm typically a composer. It was just a way to like kind of change things up a little bit.
I see. And where's the third person? Are you speaking to him or her?
Yeah, I've been working with him, writing some songs and stuff. But
excellent.
As a threesome, we didn't.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
But now it's just the two of you on your current project, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys talk a little bit about that? What's the name of it? What's it about? And like that.
Well, it all actually really started with the Prospect Theater Company in New York City. We did one of their musical theater labs. Gosh, I guess I was like about. It's actually what kind of started the map sequence. It was, we wrote like the first 15 minutes of it with them. And then from there, we went on to write a full-length musical. That was like really the beginning of it.
So I have a little bit of inside information about what you mean by the map sequence, but folks who are watching and meeting you for the first time, can you describe what that is? Is the whole musical called The Map?
Yes, right now the working title is The Map, and the map sequence that Edison is referring to is the opening sequence of this new original musical, or original fairy tale, where this man who lives in colonial America has this power and ability to draw maps between unrequited lovers to people's hearts. So, someone who is looking for love will come to him, and he'll chart out a map to their heart.
And does he know from the get-go who's unrequited, and does he know where the map's going to lead? Does he know these two people belong together?
Well, actually, in our rewrite, that's being reworked. So in our original piece that we showed to NMI, he did kind of know, because they would come to him and he'd be like, oh, okay, we'll work through this together. But now we're discussing it.
Yeah, and a lot of that actually has to do with the wonderful feedback that we've been given after the first round. I mean, something that really honed in on this idea of how is the map functioning in its and in regards to, it seemed like before we had it doing a few too many things, and now trying to streamline it and trying to get the story to really have like this cohesiveness. I think these are all questions that we're now asking ourselves, and honestly, it has a lot to do with the fact that we went through this process with you guys.
And so the theme, besides unrequited love, what's drawing you to this material? What was the initial impetus, and what's now carrying you through to continue to be full drafty with it?
Well, like the initial impetus, when I always wanted to work with Ariel after we wrote our first song, and so when we had like this opportunity to write this Prospect Theater, and even thinking about it as a longer piece, I just went up to her and I was like, I don't know what the rest of the show would be at all. I just know that there's this cartographer and he draws maps to people's hearts. That's all I know. And like from there, with Ariel's wisdom and incredible book writing skills, like we've gotten to a place where we keep on developing this idea. But one thing that was really wonderful that we dove into with the last draft, and we're still making our way through the current draft, but this is something that I would like to continue to see, is the idea of women in traditional fairy tales, and how we're trying to do a modern fairy tale, basically. And with our modern fairy tale, we're looking at that and we're trying to break that and trying to flip things. We're even calling it into question. One of our sequences that we have later on in the show is basically addressing one of the traditional female roles that has happened earlier in the show. It's a little bit, I guess, convoluted to explain at this juncture, but it basically, we're trying to dive into that and directly touch upon it, about the idea of women in these love stories and how they're treated, portrayed, and kind of stifled.
Right. So Ariel, is Edison saying that the women in the fairy tales are portrayed? This is a leading question. Are portrayed positively, happily, and you have nothing to comment on it, or are you? How are you? What are you doing with the women in fairy tales and respinning it?
Well, we're kind of trying to give them a voice, because we feel like they kind of these props that are marched in because, you need them to fulfill the fairy tale tropes, and they faint and fawn and all this stuff, and then you move on and, your story ends happily, little bow. We're kind of playing with that idea and trying to give them a moment to be like, hey, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we're trying to give them their moment and make them real as opposed to just props.
And have you now done a full draft of this, at least full draft of the book?
Yes, we have. Actually rewriting, we've gone on a completely new course that might actually change most of that book.
Yeah.
Edison's like discussing maybe putting it all completely in the past. Before we had, a prologue, which was in the past, and then we jumped to modern day and have the cartographer doing more of his magic in current day America. And so we're asking a lot of questions at this point.
Yeah. But we're going to have a great opportunity to work on it. We've been invited to go to the Catwalk residency in the Catskills.
Oh yeah.
In late August, and so we'll be continuing to work on it. And really excited to just dive into it and figure out, just see where it goes and see where the story takes us.
Yeah. So your work with us, what got unearthed? What did you stir up and go, they want to do this differently, or confirming we want to do this the same way? What was that like for you guys?
I mean, Simon is completely different. The character that you start the show with, and that really has to do, with that idea of how is the map functioning? Because with what we presented actually a pretty good chunk of the opening sequence, and we're still figuring out too, like how does this map work? And we have like a very basic idea, but how does that function? And so, the more we hone in on that idea, the more it just isn't just about the map, but it's about all the characters that are involved too. You know, like what we do with the map has an influence on the rest of the show, like every aspect of the rest of the show. So it's been, I don't know, it's been actually pretty revolutionary for our show so far.
Yeah.
And we'll see yeah.
And I think a lot of writing is like deciding how much to feed to the audience and how much to give. And a lot of your questions helped us understand like we weren't giving enough or we were giving too much of the wrong thing. And so I feel like it helped us understand what to dispense and like what needed to be the pillars, the foundation of wherever we take off from.
Excellent, excellent. So here's an unfair hypothetical question. Let's let's say $100 million fell into your lap, and you could spend it however you wanted, specifically for the map. What pathway would be ideal for you if you could just name your path? What's next? What's after that? Where are you headed with this? Not that I don't have $100 million. I don't want to lead you on here, but just
I will only answer this question if you fund it exactly how I'm saying so.
I will give you $100 million only if you answer the question accurately.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we'd love to have you connected with the project.
Oh! Wow, that was unfair. Okay, so it's only $90 million, and we're not connected with the project. No, seriously. What's ideally what's next for you? What would you like if money weren't an obstacle? What would you like to have happen next?
I mean, we really do have to work through the rest of the second draft at this point. I think we both felt. I mean, what we had before was a first draft, so providing ourselves the time, the resources to do that. I mean, that's I think really the difficult part about being a writer at this stage. How do you make that happen? And I have to constantly do other jobs, odd jobs here and there to make this happen. So I mean, that would definitely be, I think, the first source of the resources. And hopefully we don't spend $90 million on our living. So after that,
with your student loans.
yeah, that's true.
So that's $80 million. You still have $10 million left after your student loans. So,
I mean, it would be, I think, seeing it on its feet, having actors take it on, just getting that opportunity is just always priceless.
Right. And so Ariel, when you've been working on the book, talk to me just a little bit about the process between the two guys. Do you generally do? Edison is walking around here.
So sorry. I should have prefaced with this. I have just started a youth theater program on a Native American reservation.
Oh wow!
I just got here like 2 days ago. It's a Pine Ridge reservation, and so we're just getting started. The kids are here, so it's somebody just opened the door and popped in, and I was just closing that.
Oh, that's
so
great.
My apologies.
No, that's great. That's great. I was going to ask Ariel, are you working first on chunks of the book, or are you outlining it? And what's your process now that you're in the middle of it? How are you kind of backing up and restarting and yet keep going? What are you doing from the book perspective?
This has been different than any of my other collaborations before because I come from a playwriting background. So I usually do start very book, very me in a room typing it out. But Edison actually had the concept for this show, so I've really been trying to have a more collaborative discussion before I sit down and just decide everything. And especially since I feel like Simon, the cartographer, Edison is very much key to that character because Edison is very much this person who's exploring new places, going to North Dakota and starting random theater problems or programs, not problems.
Problems. I am also causing problems.
He has this like need to travel and need to see things, which I feel like our character has, and I very much don't have, and that's what I like to explore in characters. And so it's been really fun to kind of incorporate him into it. Now that we're re-looking at everything, I think we're very much, discussing it together. But it will kind of be going back and nitpicking and outlining and then writing.
And how about the long distance relationship between the two of you guys when you're not in the same spot? Do you collaborate video wise or over the phone or what?
Skype is our best friend.
Yeah.
We really utilize that. And I made a little trip down to Delaware, but we didn't have enough time. So that's why we're really looking forward to the time that we're going to have together in August. But honestly, there's the technology that's now available to collaborate. I even like play like music like via Skype for her, and it works quite well. Like I think it works really, and maybe I'm just saying that because I'm the one that's always kind of bouncing around.
Well, like in the 2-year span that we've been working on this musical, we've only been together in person for like 2 days.
Wow.
That's true.
So it's been incredible, and we've written like a whole draft and 18 songs or whatever, and it's been easy with Skype. It's been awesome.
Great. So, lastly, maybe I could ask you guys if you've got any advice for the writers of tomorrow's musicals. I know that includes you guys, so this might be advice to yourself. But now that you're graduates, you're practically old vets. What have you learned about drafting a new musical and collaborating that's of value to folks that are trying to do the same thing? Can you be more specific, please?
I think collaboration is such an art, and you never know what makes a good collaboration. And I think like it's something that like can't even be forecasted. You just try and see. But I think it's not to make the piece. It really does rely on strong collaboration, and that doesn't mean always getting along. That doesn't always mean that like everything is a super happy moment. It means that two people are putting what they know, the best of their minds, and communicating and going back and forth. And it is a tug and a push and a pull, but you do it for the art. And I think that would be my piece of advice.
Great. Ariel?
I just feel like I don't have very much advice to give, but I agree wholeheartedly with Edison, and I also think you have to focus on the joy of the process, because there are a lot of struggles, being long distance, not having, funding, or it often doesn't look like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But we love this, and we feel like it is something that we need to say, and even if it is just to ourselves in our room, and it's such a blessing to be able to dedicate our lives to that, and that's keeping sight of that is important.
Great. Okay. Well, I know I for one am really looking forward to seeing your next round of scenes and songs. We just got them yesterday, the day before, something like that. So we'll be taking a look at them, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the progress of the map. So that's Ariel Mitchell and Edison Hong. So thank you so much, guys. This is great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.